The afternoon I arrived in Buenos Aires, my ship glided across the endless surface of brown water the locals called a river, and I gathered, speechless, that I had reached the end of my journey. The mariners shouted at one another across the deck, trying to keep us from running aground. The light was so strong that everything seemed to float in the air. It was only as we drew closer that I managed to glimpse, with heartbreaking clarity, the city's silhouette between the tall masts that interrupted my field of vision. Its low rectangular buildings were exposed to the edge of this river that seemed like the open sea. Behind these rose the cupolas and bell towers of churches, but the scene was dominated by a semicircular, multi-story building crowned by a lighthouse. This unfinished structure was the customs office, I later learned, and it gave the whole city the air of a historical neighborhood dropped by error into the newest reaches of the globe. Facing the city, countless schooners and brigantines cluttered the river. Some still had their sails raised, others bobbed sluggishly. The port itself was nowhere to be seen. Buenos Aires extended in both directions, but mud eventually conquered the coastline, and I felt as if, aside from the weeks-long journey from one place to another, I had traveled to a different time. To the past, perhaps, but also to something strikingly new. What was it? On the other side, the city crumbled into land, slaughterhouses, mudflats, and cemeteries, and after that came the endless plains where the bones of other eras lay. There was ample time to absorb this scene as we awaited our turn to disembark in the waning afternoon light. In the distance, where the coastline was but mud and stone, a group of women engaged in labors I could not understand at first. I watched them move slowly, observing how some raised the hem of their skirts with one hand, while the other bore something that looked heavy from the way they struggled to keep their balance on the rocks.